So next we are going to look at changing. So Python strings cannot be changed, they are immutable. Therefore, assigning to an indexed position in a string is an error. So this is what they mean. We have our word. So our word is Python. So you can't do this like in most programming languages. In most programming languages, where you do something like this and you change the character to something like K. So that won't work. It would give you a type error where it says that string object does not support item assignment. So that's the error you're going to be getting. So you can't do that. To do something like that, or to get a new character, a new word, you would get something like a new word is equal to the character I want to add. So then plus we have the word. So we specifically want to replace P with K. So it's going to be, remember what we learned earlier, whereby we can terminate, we can exclude other values and print the values that we need. So right now we are having values starting from position 2 to the end. So by position 2 I'm meaning Y. So if I do this and then print my new, see what I'm getting? I'm getting Python. So that is what I'm trying to mean. If you want to do something like a new word, so we are getting this is getting a substring. So it is getting this. It's getting this, but without P. So it is Python, 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 and then Python plus K. That is going to give you that. So that is string concatenation still. To get the number of characters in a string, you can use len. So we have a built-in function called len. If you the len can take a list, can take strings, can take tuples, can take anything. So that can specifically, it can take it takes values and it gives you the length of characters that are in that variable, that are in the value, as long as the value is an iterable. By iterable, I'm meaning value a type or anything that can be iterated over. For example, word. So word is uniterable. So it is having a length of 6. And if we print word actually and try to count, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So those are the number of characters in word. So that is all about strings. Just a quick walkthrough, but still you can also take a look at text sequences, string methods, f strings, format strings, syntax, printf styles. We will cover that in later videos. So let's look at the list. So Python knows the number of compound data types is to group together. other values. The most versatile is the list, which can be written as a list of commas separated by values between squares. So so this is what they mean by a list. So this is a list. So it is enclosed by square brackets, and each value is separated by a comma. So that's a list. When you print it, you still get the same format as it is that was assigned to the variable. So still, you can use the string indexes to the same way we used string indexes for accessing values in strings. It's the same way you can use the indexes to access values. The last value is still -1. You can also slice the string. So the same way we are slicing or getting the substrings from the string, it's the same way you can do in the list. But in lists, it's called slicing. So lists also support concatenation, just like strings. You can use the plus sign to concatenate strings. So if I do something like do something like x is equal to 1, 2, 3, and I do something like y is equal to 4, 5, 6. So if I want to join these two strings and store them in Z, I would do something like x plus y, x plus y plus y, and then print Z for getting my concatenated list. So that's how list concatenation works. So next we can also do something like assigning different positions to different values. For example, if I want to assign the first value of the of the list with with uh, with another value, I can do something like this. Remember, this doesn't work with strings, but it works with lists. Is equal to 2026, and then if I print my list, I should get the first value as 2026 instead of 1. So that is what I mean by replacing the values. So as long as you know the position, you can replace the value you want. So as long as you stay within the range. Of course, lists have a method you can use for adding values to the list, that is called append. So if I want to add a number, for example, -2, I can do something like z.append. Remember, our z is this list, so I can do something like -1 or -2. So, and if I print my z, see, I'm having -2 at the end. So that's how append method works. So You can also have, yeah, they're saying that any changes you make to the list through one variable will be seen through another variable. So actually we have something called string copying. So this 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 is just assigning memory the memory of the memory address. I didn't want to go through, I didn't want to go into this, but it is being brought up here, so it is better to go into it right now and then regret later. So here we are assigning RGB to a list of characters, so red, green, blue. So then we are in the line 2, we are assigning RGBA to RGB. This is not like creating a new list. It is just assigning the memory address of RGB. When you modify this RGB, specifically we're going to be modifying this RGBA. So, and by using ID is another built-in function you can use to to check whether they are referencing the same object. So if variables are referencing the same object, that means they are equal. So for example, you get RGBA and you add alpha. So if you add alpha or alpha and then you print RGB instead of RGBA, you have actually modified this original list of colors. So you added alpha. So that's what you get. So if you want to avoid that, you can do what we call a shallow copy. So all slice operations return a new string list. So you can do a shallow copy. By a shallow copy, we mean using the slicing method to get a new list. This is what I mean. For example, if I want to get to store a new list, so a new list, for example, I want from 1 to 6. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to be 6. So it's going to be actually 5. But I will do a 6 just to make sure it is. So if I print my B, it should be from 2 to 6. Then next, if I want to, now I can do something like, now what I've done here is I've done a shallow copy of B, of Z. So if I modify B and I add something like, let me see, Python, B.append -80, and then if I log Z, look at this. See, Z is still having its original state of having a -2 at the end, which is the same state we ended with here. And now if I print B, look at what I have. I have -80 instead of this. So it is, now we are having two different lists. That's what a shell copy did. So let me see, we'll cover all these later. Let's cover all this later. This is a nested list like we are having a list, main list, which is this, and then it is having other two lists. So those are nested lists, and still we use the same basic concepts that we learned earlier for accessing values in a list using indexes. For example, if you want to access, and just take this. Remember, this is just a quick run through. It's nothing big, nothing that much. So okay, let's do that. Let me just put v equals to, right. So if I paste that, you see that v is having two lists. It is a list of lists. So if I want to access A, I'm going to be using matrices, something like how matrices, if you are familiar with matrices, I'm accessing the first list, the first item, which is 0 in the main list. So to access A, I will still need to access the first value in the first list, in the first in the first item. So that's going to be A. So if I want B, it's going to be 1. If I want C, it's going to be 2. If I want to access this other, if I want to access this other list, I'm going to also, I will just need to change this to 1. And if I print this, I'm accessing 1. If I change this, I'm accessing 2, sorry, 3. If I'm to change this, I'm accessing 2. So that's how it all works. So you need to be well conversant with indexes. So our last step is Fibonacci series. So this series is kind of confusing if you don't understand it. So I won't waste your time taking you through the Fibonacci series, because honestly, in programming, unless you are going to be doing Fibonacci series or something similar to that, you basically won't encounter it in any of your jobs. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next tutorials.